Hey, welcome to the Roundabout Cast, where we talk about One Piece on every week, except the ones we skip occasionally because they're very short.
Yeah, we don't
We
do one
never
chapter
skip.
break.
We're the most consistent.
We skipped a
Yeah.
break week. I'll admit it, but you know what? We have been pretty consistent. We may not always get.
Debatable.
Also, I think we were in Disney World during that time, so
I think any of those break weeks where it's like one chapter will come out and then three chapters will come out, and then like the back to back break week chapters is when we tend to skip. And why shouldn't we?
yeah.
We're starting on chapter 1047, which we were just talking about how nice this cover page is, with with Momonosuke with the straw hats and not Yamato, notably.
Yeah.
Makes you
I
think.
like the
Makes you
the
think.
fucking. It does make you think. It makes you think a big whole lot.
Makes
Still
me
not
think about
revealing
them
that Odin
thighs.
look.
Look at them thighs.
It makes you think
Speaking
about
of
Robin.
thighs. Yeah. The fucking Oda is crazy because the shadowing with the palm tree leaves
I
is
know.
nuts on this picture.
I was looking at that. I was like, that looks so nice.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a continuity error here, and I'd like to see an explanation in an SBS one day. Why does Jinbei now have a scar on his body now that we're seeing like his full body?
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
I worry about
Well, you
it.
see, kids, when you're on vacation, you forget about the things that cause you pain.
Yeah, but Luffy's car, I think, is probably still there, and they got it from the same attack. So,
Luffy never forgets.
I mean, we've never seen Jinbei's car, so maybe he doesn't have a scar, but Akainu's attack went fucking through Jinbei to hit Luffy. So, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what's going on. Something
I bet it's just a
fishman body.
continuity error.
Yeah, I think Oda just forgot that that's what happened. Or maybe he got hit from the side. If you look at the panel where they're getting punched, Jinbei is kind of hit from the side. So that could be an option, but I guess we'll never know. Alright. What happened this chapter? Momo's having trouble getting the clouds to move. But there is a good flashback here where he hits us with the line, I'm ready, mother, I will go. And he's like, I'm failing my mom, as he's like failing to push the clouds. I think that's like a cute moment because his mind's still that of a child, but he's being such a brave little boy, and you gotta appreciate it.
This was only still like a few years ago, too. Like,
Yeah, for this
Was it
this was like a
20?
year ago, yeah.
yeah.
At most,
So
right?
it's still, yeah, fresh in his mind. But no, it's nice. And then we get back to the fight at hand with Luffy, Lightning Flinger,
Yeah,
the
like
Straw Hat Pirates.
Faith wielder Luffy throwing his lightning spears here. And he's smart because dragons tend to be weak to lightning in the Dark Souls games, so he's doing it. Lot of cool little action bits. I like when Luffy goes for like a stretchy knee strike, and then Kaido just plops him. But then Kaido hits him into the ground and bends the ground. That's a really fun panel.
It goes zap.
I like when he does the whole dance.
Yeah. Luffy does a dance off of the lightning bolt. It's ridiculous. This is nonsense. Lightning bolts are in the sky for a half second. The anime is gonna make this look so jank. It's just something that cannot be animated. Also, apparently the anime had a really bad episode recently, which is
Yikes.
kind of a bummer. And it was also announced that after Wano they're gonna go on a bit of a break to set up for movie Red. And I think that's cool. I think that's a good idea. Wait, but that implies that. Wait, I mean, if they have a scheduled break for Wano before movie Red, that means they must be planning on. I mean, something's up there. Either movie Red doesn't come out for another 2 years, or the anime.
No, I
is
think
going
they
to
said
wrap
they're
up
going
really
on
fast.
break for the Wano arc to make
They'll stop midway through. Yeah, they do that
Yes.
sometimes. It's so fucked up. Kaido brings up that only Haki can transcend all. Do you think this is like literal? Like, do you think Oda is really highlighting that the last few arcs of One Piece that like Haki is going to be a very important, like more important than Devil Fruits even? Because
I think so because like
we also got the confirmation that
they're gonna
Roger doesn't have a Devil Fruit.
yeah, I think so because what's his name? Blackbeard's going to have the darkness fruit that absorbs devil powers, right? Mm-hmm. So you're gonna need strong Haki to break through that and actually hit him, kind of situation.
Yeah, like maybe a lot of the fight with Blackbeard like will be Luffy fighting Fruitless. And you know what? That'd be really smart, right? We give Luffy this ultimate power up, but his next big threat negates that, and then he gets to go like full out against whoever the bosses after Blackbeard are, if there are any. Which there was a fun little Reddit thread I saw where it's like place these events, and it's like Luffy meeting Shanks, and then Luffy finding the One Piece, Luffy fighting Blackbeard, Luffy meeting Dragon. And I think Joe and I agreed that it would go. Help me out here, Joe. I think we said he's gonna meet Shanks first among those 5 events. He's gonna find One Piece and fight Blackbeard somewhere around the same time.
It's like gonna be right before, or they're gonna be at the gates of the fucking room where One Piece is.
I feel like they're fighting at the One Piece, TBH.
Yeah,
that's how I see it, and like the winner gets to claim it. And then he'll meet Dragon, and then fight Akainu in the final war. And then, but with that being said, I don't know if Akainu is the last fight, because he seems like it just feels like he's gonna get outclassed by that point. As far as like an opponent for Luffy. But this
I feel like he's gonna be Sato's opponent. Like,
I would not like that.
Sato.
I mean, I'll deal with it. Like Oda will make it good, but like Luffy hates Akainu more than he hates Blackbeard. Sorry,
I don't think Luffy's gonna fight Akainu.
Why?
Why would he?
Because he fucking killed Ace. Why would he?
Yeah.
Why would he
Luffy
not
ever cared about revenge?
Okay, go back and reread Fishman Island, and you'll see that Luffy genuinely hates Akainu, and like just talking about Akainu makes Luffy grab his chest in pain.
I don't think it doesn't feel like Luffy would fight Akainu. I feel either Garp is going to fight him or Pink Hair Boy. Kobe, yeah.
None of these reasonings are good or narratively satisfying to me. Like, Akainu is the ultimate Marine, and like the Marines are a faction that Luffy should fight. Like, Luffy has never had an arc where he's had to like fight a big Marine because he loses to Smoker. He runs away from a lot of other ones.
He did have an arc where he did that. It was the second one, or the first one of the entire series, and it was kind of a pushover.
Morgan, yeah. And then Kizaru kicked his ass, and Aokiji kicked his ass. Like, this guy needs to get a win on an Admiral. Like, this is the fucking Pirate King. You think he's not gonna, like, beat an Admiral by the end of the series? That's ridiculous.
I mean, I think he will, but I don't think he has to fight Akainu.
There's no other Admiral that's narratively satisfying for Luffy to fight. Like, Fujitora likes Luffy. Kizaru doesn't give a fuck.
I'm thinking the green evil guy that we have not met yet.
Yeah, I guess we don't know anything about Green Bull, but I would much rather him fight the one he has narrative ties to. But alright, you guys can...
I mean, there's a lot of other characters that like have narrative ties to Akainu.
But one's the main protagonist and should fight the bad guy. But,
debatable.
You know, well, these are hot takes that I don't agree with, but such is life. And then all the samurai start embracing death. It's like, yeah, punch us to death, Luffy, as long as Kaido dies. So that's fun.
Whatever floats their boat.
Whatever. I mean, they get off on this kind of like death for honor shit. That's their jam.
Yeah.
Yo, Crackers in the front page of 1048. That's our boy.
Oh man,
Sex Junior, as Joe and I lovingly call him, and also it's nice to see Brule again.
So this just says, I think Germa's come to Chocolate Town. It doesn't say that they know it's them, right?
True. I think we haven't seen Reiju and Ichiji, even though like it's been implied.
The beginning where they're like reminiscing, but that's it.
Yeah, like we saw people's feet, and then it's like Germa's in town, but we haven't seen who actually it is. I mean,
I called those boots. I was like, those look like the girl boots.
They're not. Like, we had a whole debate about how they're not their boots, because their boots have like the weird floaty device. They look like normal boots, which is why I was against the idea that it could be them. So I don't know. Maybe they're just wearing normal shoes right now, not in their raid suits yet. There's also Katarina Devon in Blackbeard's crew who can disguise herself as people, but there's 2 people here, so who knows? I saw a theory that Katarina's disguised as Oven right now, and like people can find some crazy shit in these cover pages, but I think that's pretty fun.
That's funny.
This is pretty much an action chapter. But
this Kaido though.
Early on, it's got the Kaido coating himself in the flame aura, which looks awesome. I bet that's gonna look pretty sick. Actually, they just did CGI Kaido last One Piece episode, so I hope when the anime gets here,
they did a CGI Kaido.
Yeah, it looked rough from what I saw.
I want to look at it. I saw some animators talking shit to people on Twitter.
Well, people were going ham on the animators because it was a bad episode this week. It's like it's a weekly anime with a almost completely action episode. It's gonna happen sometimes, unfortunately. This is why weekly anime just should not exist, period. But, you know, whatever. Giant Flaming Kaido, and then Orochi is the next big part of this chapter. We go into this flashback, which kind of shows more implementations of, like, Kaido and Orochi's rule. So it's kind of reminding us that these guys have caused all this suffering. And then Orochi goes down here, and Kaido presumably goes down next chapter. So how do y'all feel about this? Like, it's like a 7-8 page flashback in the middle of the action here. Because some people were like, old Oda would never cut away from the climax. He was better than that. I was like, I don't know if it has anything to do with, like, being better or worse than before. It's just that, like, he's trying to line up Orochi and Kaido's deaths. But how do y'all feel?
So this is my first One Piece flashback, like, reading wise.
What?
Yeah.
You read the Roger flashback with us.
Was that a flashback? I thought that was just like a cutaway bit.
I mean, it happened in the past with Black Borders. That's a flashback.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to the Black Borders until this like chapter.
Yeah, that's what denotes a flashback. You've also seen like, you've seen smaller flashbacks like Yamato's and stuff like that, Momonosuke and stuff. But yeah, that's what Black Borders means since you're new to manga a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I feel like this was significant to point out that this is not the main point in the chapter.
What do you mean?
I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit, but it's like I felt like the main focus wasn't Kaido's flashback because it continues on in the next chapter as well.
Well,
like,
right. This is not the Kaido flashback we've been talking. It's just a flashback of Wano's history a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a build up. I feel like
it's mostly Orochi, really. Orochi. Yeah.
Because I think he does this with Monet too, if I remember correctly.
What do you mean?
He does a quick flashback of Monet and how she got to be with Caesar Clown before she dies.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. It's true, and I think Orochi's actually dead. I know what I'm saying, but like, this is as good of a One Piece death as any, you know, like, and. How do y'all feel about the fact that it's not Hiyori that gets the kill, it's Denjiro? I saw some pushback where it's like, Oda never lets his female characters take revenge. And while that is true, you also have to take in mind who these female characters who are usually wanting to take revenge are. You have, like, Viola was like a good character to actually take revenge, but of course she's not strong enough to kill Doflamingo. And Rebecca, like, the whole thing with Kairos is Kairos wants to make sure Rebecca doesn't have to fight for him anymore. So, of course, Rebecca is not, like, going to take the revenge, because that's what Kairos is all about. I feel like this is similar where, like, Denjiro has forced Hiyori to be a prostitute, you know, like, for all these years. Like, it's part of their plan together. And, he's like, you don't have to stain your hands with the blood. I've put you through enough. I'll finish the job. So while it is lame that like it would have been badass if Hiyori does it, I do also like what Denjiro and Hiyori's story ends up being with him killing Orochi for her. I think that wraps up nicely. But at the same time, one thing when I remember reading this, I was like, it's kind of a bummer though that we haven't seen Denjiro for like over 20 chapters. It would have been nice to.
He just shows up.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him a little more before he just shows up just to kill Orochi. You know, like he feels like a very underutilized character for how cool he's been up to this point.
He like didn't do anything, it feels like, compared to like all the other samurai. Like after
He did like less than Ashura Doji. Like he's down there with Kawamatsu as the most useless samurai. Like after the big fight with Kaido, you know.
Yeah, Ashura Doji like fucking calls out and says like that's not Odin, and then blows up with the Kandro clone.
Yeah, like he could be dead, but probably not. But like if he did die there, that'd be like a pretty cool sacrifice for him. But either way, he did a cool thing. Like Denjiro has been MIA, I feel, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the setup of all the lanterns flying up to Luffy in the sky.
No, same.
I wonder if like Luffy will see them as he's falling.
Probably.
All right,
I saw everyone's wishes.
Back to on to 1049, which is our last chapter to cover today. So we're moving quick.
Yeah.
Very very easy topics to hit because like it's a lot of wrap up. Nothing super new has happened in these chapters, but 1049 has the Kaido flashback we've been waiting for, and it's 4 pages.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is a bummer for me. It's way too short for how interesting of a character Kaido is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's talk about what we do get, right? Kaido's country uses warring to pay for the celestial tributes. This is tying a lot of things that we know about the One Piece world. And it makes sense that some countries are like, oh, if we're going to pay the tribute to these dragons, like, the only way we can do it is through violence. Then he rises his way through the ranks, becomes a rocks pirate, and kind of grows up with the mentality of war is might. And then he kind of imposes that on to Wano. So what we do get from this, it helps clarify some interesting things about Kaido. Like, it is a good flashback. It's just not enough for how hyped of a character Kaido is and how interesting he's been throughout this arc.
Yeah. It definitely could have been elongated. And it seems weird that Oda didn't do that, but it might be also like a Roger situation where like he wants to go into the Rocks Pirates more, but he needs to wait that out until that's brought up by Blackbeard or somebody.
Yeah, a couple ways this could play out, right? Either this is a swerve, and this is not the last we hear of Kaido's past, because it's also not the last we hear of Kaido potentially. He gets up after this, and we get more stuff with him. Or B, we get it through Rock's flashback, but it is gonna feel bad until we get it, and then like it's gonna be that thing where people are gonna rightfully complain about it for the next year and a half until we get like a Rock's flashback proper with more Kaido information. And I mean, you can't blame them.
I think this kind of leads into what like my theory is a little bit more. I think Kaido and Luffy might be friends after this.
Oh man, there's just Kaido's like Oda just highlighted last chapter how Wano's gone through it like the worst out of any country that we've been to so far. There's no way.
Yeah.
People have committed suicide over Kaido. Like there's nooses. It's too dark. I think it's too dark.
But if Kaido come on and be like, "Yo, can I join your crew?" Luffy be like, "Yeah, okay."
No, hell no, hell no, you're crazy. Now
I am. I want to promote the hottest takes.
You do, and that is what we pay you for here at the Roundup Podcast.
Wait, I'm getting paid?
Oh yes.
No, not in the traditional sense.
You get paid.
Okay. Oh.
You get paid by me explaining panels you can't understand for you.
I get paid in exposure.
Exposure bucks. It's like if now don't get me wrong, will Kaido show up in the final war and be like, "Straw Hat, I'll hold them off for you," and Luffy's gonna be like, "You bastard, okay," like definitely 100%. But Friends is a strong world. I mean, he's going to be invited. Everyone's going to be invited to the final party, even reluctantly. I don't know if Luffy's going to be throwing it down with Kaido. Because, like, you can't... You just can't get past how much these people have suffered because of Kaido. Like, Crocodile, sure, maybe. He didn't actually blow up the country, so I guess we can forgive him. He just almost blew it up. But Kaido's literally killed like hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anywho,
poison the watering hole. Quite literally poison the water in all of Wano too.
Literally,
so it's
there's people in Wano who can never frown again because they're forced to laugh for the rest of their lives. Now, maybe Oda will be like, actually a lot of that was Orochi's doing, but no, that not even Oda's that.
I just had Onigashima doing whatever I wanted to do.
So
I've never been in that way though.
We also get this idea that Joy Boy, like, so it's like I don't think he came to Wano to create Joy Boy. Like, I don't think Kaido came to Wano specifically for Joy Boy, but when he took over Wano, he already grew up with the war is might mentality. He knows the stories of Joy Boy. He's like, well, shit. If I'm going to rule over this country, I bet Joy Boy is going to come here one day. There's a lot of ties to Wano in the Ancient Kingdom. And he's going to have to get past me. So I think he's saying to King here, like, if your Joy Boy exists, he's whoever's going to beat me one day. And I think that's a really cool setup. I think that, like, that alone explains a lot about his character. I do hope we get it fleshed out a little bit more. But say Oda left us with just that, I still think that's a pretty interesting character. Would y'all agree? Or is it too little?
Yeah. Like,
preach it, Joe. Preach it.
Kaido could have been more, I think. Like, I don't think I'm disappointed, but it's just also like the amount of potential Kaido had as like a character to like explore this war profiteering, this guy that has nothing but war in his blood, that probably was part of a pirate crew that went out and like fought every battle every day.
Yeah.
And then is now at the point of his life where he's so strong there's nothing else worth fighting against. That like that's you hit the peak of where you're ever going to go, and you have so much of the rest of your life left. Like I feel like that's
in the story. It's in the story, but it like Oda could really make a really good flashback out of it. And he didn't.
Like he could have, but also I feel like it goes back to like I think the way Rocks goes down is really important to Kaido, and we're not going to get that until we get the Rocks flashback sort of deal, right?
So I've got a question that I really want to bring this back a little bit. I want to dial it into some perspective.
Please.
Yeah.
What? So, like, I've experienced all of One Piece up until now through different mediums.
Yeah, you've been all over the place.
Like, I don't feel like there's any more depth to this story than Lin Lin and Big Mom, you know? Like,
I feel like no one's hit that peak so far. Aside from, like, Luffy himself in weird ways, but it's like such a stretched out process, and maybe Law a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I feel like all the backstories we get for any bad guys are still really short, you know? Like, they're not great, they're not amazing. Like, I don't feel like they...
For perspective, Lin Lin gets, like, over 2 whole chapters. Doflamingo gets... Like, he's so integral to Law's flashback that it's also a Doflamingo flashback. So and Hody Jones gets quite a bit. Like, it's on the shorter end, but it does a lot of legwork. So I wouldn't say that like the villain
flashbacks, at least, even if they weren't like the main component of that flashback, did dive into the motivations behind that villain.
I'll put it this way for you, Tyler. I think the post-time skip villain flashbacks have been excellent. Kaido's is the worst so far.
I feel nothing if not just, yeah, this is more about this character, and he gets to the point of, like, yeah, he wanted to start a war against the world. Like, Hody Jones, who gives a fuck? Big Mom, still don't care too much. Doflamingo, interesting because he has more ties to the world building, and it's built through Law, you know? But, like, if I was reading the 3 or 4 chapters that was Doflamingo's flashback, I would have been like, these fucking suck. Been like,
Oh,
these
I-
are
Well,
way
Doflamingo's,
too long.
like, actual flashback is like 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, that sounds quality. Like, that's fine.
I completely disagree because the flashbacks in One Piece in general are the best writing. Like, I love how Robin's flashback, the story just stops and you read like half a volume
That's
of Robin's
protagonist flashbacks. We're not talking about protagonist.
I think the villain flashbacks deserve as much. I mean, I understand why Oda does them faster than the protagonist ones, but like, I think they're really important. Like, I love me a good villain backstory.
I think it's also important
I would.
because
I feel like that can't be done because there's so many villains.
Well, that's why, I mean, it's only done for the main villains, and I think that's fine. Like, Katakuri
And
didn't quite get... Like, Katakuri got a very short flashback because, like, it's mostly about how he's growing in the fight. Like, his backstory is just there to set up his growth through the fight. But, like, Kaido's a legendary figure. Like, is your point that you're saying is that you don't want the long Kaido flashback because that's not what you're into? Is that
I
the point?
don't feel like it. I'm like questioning, would it really make the character more interesting than he has already been, or would you rather it be done in a flashback, or rather it be told through present day events of why he did his motivations? Like,
It
all of his
depends.
motivations are like placed out in the past, where like he wants to go against the world and the world government, and he's
Well, I
like
mean,
thought he
that-
might be.
That's exactly it. His motivations are very past based, so we should see how he got to the point where like those become his motivations. Like that's the
But-
whole point.
But why tell it through a flashback instead of the present?
Because he would. Well, you want him to sit down and be like, Luffy, I did this because of this, instead of seeing how it. Like, you want tell don't show, which is fundamentally not what most people like in storytelling. They want show don't tell.
I mean, a lot of manga still like all right, here's a big text blog, and then here's
Yeah.
one image,
Terrible.
and then there's another big text blog.
Well, that's why
Like,
I
so
like
many
Oda's,
mangas do that.
I don't like that. That's why I like the way Oda does
Yeah.
flashbacks. Like, Joe, let's take it to another series. Funny Valentine gets like a prolonged flashback sequence that adds a lot to his character. Like that, his character becomes more interesting when you learn why he does the things he does. And this
Garu
is
even has like a few page flashback too, where we go through like his life cycle.
yeah, and only you and I like
yeah.
that those pages, I guess. But here's one for you, Tyler. Like, Obito would be way less interesting if he just tells Kakashi's like, "Hey, Kakashi, I was your friend." You got to see Obito, like how Kakashi loses Obito, and you get to see how Obito joins Madara. So when he's actually fighting Kakashi, there's stakes. I just don't understand.
I don't think that's a good example because we all know the end of Naruto with Obito and Madara into
I thought
the
people
Moon
liked.
Goddess is kind of stupid
Okay,
shit.
this is irrelevant to the Moon Goddess. I think most Naruto readers like Obito's flashback. I think I think you are very alone in not wanting, like, actually wanting villains to just explain their backstory. That to me is lame.
I mean, that's fine. I think that's kind of why I like Hunter x Hunter, and it's one of my favorite things ever, is because there's not a lot of flashback in it.
I guess with Hunter x Hunter, you have like Netaru was just born that arc, so there is no flashback. His entire
Right.
character development happens within the arc.
Yeah, it's great.
Or not Netaru, Mirim. And then I'm trying to think of other Hunter. Yeah, but up to that point, Tyler, Hunter x Hunter didn't have good villains. Like, that's kind of the point. None of the villains in Hunter x Hunter were that interesting up to that point. Aside from
They don't-
Hisoka.
Hisoka's interesting because he
the-
has neutral, chaotic.
Chrollo is more mysterious. Like, I don't know. Chrollo's just a pure mystery also in that arc, so it's tough. But then I think of the Bomber. I think of other people in the Hunter exam arc, and like none of them are really hitting the highs of like a well fleshed out villain for me.
I don't hate if the character is well fleshed out. I'm just saying, like, what I'm trying to question is, would it make Kaido, like, what is there left to learn about Kaido?
Joe, you want to jump in here? Because I'm sure you could.
Like, really, what's left to learn about Kaido is why the fuck does he want to kill himself? That's like the big kind of thing. Like, we can make all the speculation we want, but there's no like moment where
Yeah.
like we see the reasoning why Kaido wants to kill himself.
For me,
And maybe Kaido does sit down and have a little bonfire moment with Luffy to explain why he thinks he should die.
and
But like, it would have been nice to like, because like we get the first time we are ever seeing Kaido is him trying to commit suicide, and that's like a big sticking point to his character because it's the first thing we see of this character. Like, it's how he is introduced. It's like the first impression of him, and we don't know why that is. Like, okay, from this flashback, we understand that he lived in a world torn country. He joined the Rocks Pirates. He's basically unstoppable, and he wants to just start fighting things, and then hopefully Joy Boy will come to him and he'll fight Joy Boy, and that might be the person that he'll have to fight. But like, we don't even know why if he actually wants to find Joy Boy. He just is like, maybe he'll come, maybe he'll defeat me. But like, that doesn't even seem like that's still a mystery because he knows who Joy Boy is and understands like what he means to the world, but he doesn't really care about him. Does that make sense?
Another thing
Like-
is like, I would like to see what Rocks meant to him and what exactly what he knows about Joy Boy. But I think that's the point. It might be too early for us to know what he knows about Joy Boy, so we can't get that full context. Let's switch it up a bit. Big Mom's flashback. I'm sure for you, it's like, oh, this did nothing for her character. For me, Big Mom's flashback completely recontextualizes why she's the matriarch that she is. Like, it's a complete flip on the character. And Tyler, we just read Jujutsu Kaisen, where there's an entire arc going over the main antagonist motivations, and I really like that arc. So you would rather him like Gojo just show up and be like, this guy, he used to be my friend, but one day he snapped after we failed a mission together. Like, it was way more interesting to go through the mission with them.
It was, yeah, but like I don't want it to like. I thought it was like, how many chapters was that? Only 2, 3?
Tyler, what? The flashback arc was like over 13 chapters. Hold on, I have my
Oh
thing.
God.
Dude, it was
You have to remember in context. I'm not reading it week to week. I got to sit down and read that in one whole batch.
I think you're tripping yourself. I think you've lost track of what's good in life. Like, to be honest.
It has been one of those weeks, yeah, but like
Tyler,
with
the
Windless,
flashback is from 65 to 78. It is 13 chapters.
13 chapters. That's 15 minutes of reading. Like, that's nothing.
Okay, then what is your point? Like,
Yeah.
I wanted 2 chapters of Kaido flashback. Like, that's not too much to ask for. You can cover a lot of ground and make a character more interesting with that. Now, to be fair to Jujutsu Kaisen's point, the character that they flesh out in that flashback is a complete anomaly up until that point, and we've seen Kaido for a while now. Well, that's why you don't need 13 to flesh him out. You would just need more than 4 pages.
See,
What
in
chapter
my
were they?
like, here's my take. You could, if you remove the flashback from Jujutsu Kaisen, you have Gojo and Geto meet, and all he has to say is, "Yeah, that's not him though. He's dead." Oh, boom! I don't care. Like, he died. Cool. Like, I don't care how he died. He did.
You were thinking about the 4 pages of... Oh, sorry, the 4 chapters of the Chapter 0 flashback. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about.
I'm talking
the
about their
flashback
failed
arc.
mission. Yeah, that's like...
I am too.
like over 2 volumes. It's almost 2 volumes.
I am too.
Anywho, look, I think as Joe's bringing up what we don't know about Kaido, like, I think those are also the reasons, Joe, why we can't get a longer flashback, because it might
I think
be too much information right now.
Kaido knew how Joy Boy may exist, and since he was the strongest man in the world, like, first of all, there's the legend of Lu Bu, who is the legendary general who, when he became the strongest in the world, killed himself. He's like, there's nothing left for me in this world. I've conquered all. I shall ascend to the
Yeah,
heavenly
it'd be
plane.
cool. It'd be cool to see how
Who's
Kaido.
actually also a real person.
Yes. It'd be that is a fun fact. It'd be cool to see Kaido come to that real like. You need to see these things develop. Like, this isn't like this whole argument is ended by 3 words, Tyler, and those 3 words are "Better Call Saul," and it's the
other
exact
thing
answer
is-
to why you need to see things play out.
the other thing is the point of us seeing all of these villains in their flashback is understanding why they couldn't find the One Piece and why Luffy will, and why they're so distinct from each other. And that backstory lets us see it and understand more of like Luffy's personality and motivation, because they are starkly different from the villains that he's fighting. Because there's some aspect that is not letting them be the victor, that is stopping them, and that's what the flashbacks lets us see, and lets us know what about Luffy makes him better than everyone else.
The one thing I reading through Kaido's flashback, I will say, the one thing that I was able to take away from it was how similar he and Luffy are.
That's another point, right? He gets captured to eat food at some point because, like, he's just a poor, hungry boy, and like it's easier to escape from the Marines than it is for him to like easily get food at the moment.
Yeah.
But really, just kind of like how strong they were when in like at the same ages that they were.
I mean, yeah, I think Luffy way outclasses Kaido because like Kaido as a young boy has 70 million and Luffy would have had like 300 million at this point. It actually highlights also how much of a freak Big Mom is because she just had like a huge bounty as an 8-year-old. That girl freaky. But
I mean, how old was Luffy when he had his 300 million? 15?
17.
He's 17?
Yeah, Kaido's around that age in this flashback from what I can tell.
Kaido's 10 years old when he has 70 million.
Yeah. I mean, Robin was cooler. But yeah, no, Kaido, that's the thing. Kaido was, he had a stronger beginning, and then Luffy had a, like, they were kind of about the same maybe at some age, but I think Kaido started stronger to begin with.
The most interesting part of the flashback is that the Hag shows up again.
See, that
she's the most interesting part of the flashback to me.
That should not be the most interesting part. I think that's telling that the flashback is a bit of a failure then, to be honest.
Like, why, like, who is this Hag? Like, I know she's dead, but what was she affiliated with?
She's a Kurozumi clan member. We learned from, guess what, Orochi's flashback. Because that was, Orochi's flashback was infinitely important to make that character not completely boring. Like,
this character, okay, so whatever this old lady exists,
yes,
this is before Orochi exists.
No, this is, the old lady is part of Orochi's, like, rise to power.
Yeah.
Her and the old man with the barrier fruit.
Yes, they exist before Orochi does.
Yeah, okay, sure. They were born before.
She's here with Kaido.
This is after Kaido's gotten to Wano.
Okay,
this is in Fololed Island, so you're right.
Yeah, this is after the Rocks Pirates have been disbanded. But this is still like...
That's a problem, too, with the flat. Like, we cut from them at Fololed Island to them in Wano, like... within panel, like it's just too quick. I
don't think they're in Wano here. I think she leaves somehow, finds him, and tells her about Orochi's going to take the shogunate.
No, it is definitely in Wano.
It's 10 years later, yeah.
It's definitely in Wano, and you can tell because in the top left of page 5, there's that break in panels that shows like a transition from scene to scene, and in the right of the first panel with the old lady, it has that same transition, so it means one scene transition to another.
Also, if you just read it, in the 10 years since that incident.
Yeah. They're in Onigashima right now, Joe, because...
What about this is... Where is this in Onigashima?
What's... Like, they're fucking...
This background where Kaido is sitting on the throne.
I mean, that's just one of their many rooms in Onigashima.
I don't think this is Onigashima. Like, I really don't. She finds Kaido and tells him about Orochi.
She is part of the Kurozumi clan.
Nah, I don't know. Well, now we have a question that can't be answered. Like, no matter how much we read this chapter, I don't know if we can find an answer to this question Joe just asked. And it would have been cool to have a flashback that kind of slows down a little bit and gets into that. Maybe 2 chapters worth. But I digress. There's other stuff in the chapter too. Like, I think it's cute that Kaido thinks of King right before he gets knocked out, and King thinks of Kaido right before they get knocked out. That's a cute little connection they have as well. Shows their bond. The actual problem with the chapter, because I don't think this is the last we'll see of Kaido's backstory one way or another. I just hope that more of it comes sooner rather than later. I'll just end with that, right? But what I don't like is that Momo kind of casually moves the castle in like 2 pages. That's an actual bad. And the reason is, out of every character out of Wano, like, Momonosuke has the best character arc. It is the focal character. And his big moment was handled in like 2 pages and was not made a big deal. It's just like a small part of a chapter where the thing people are going to remember is a short Kaido flashback and Luffy doing the big punch. Like,
what do you mean? Hasn't he been struggling to make these clouds for like 5 chapters?
No, he's been struggling to make the clouds forever, but the execution of the moment where he finally moves the clouds is so brief. It doesn't get like the gravitas that the defining moment for the defining character of the arc deserves. That's like if Luffy's final blow to Kaido was a small panel, like, and didn't like, and it just happened really something in between action. Like, Momonosuke is too important to just get this brief little moment. It should have been like this epic moment for him where he, like, Oda really fleshes out the scene instead of just doing it very quickly. But I think that's like it sounds opinion based, but when you really think about it, like, don't you think Momonosuke deserves a little more?
No.
Why? Why not? He's like the most important character of Wano. That's like if Vivi's
the whole reason they came here.
It's like if Vivi's big moment, like where she cuts the rope from the bomb, but is just a tiny little moment instead of like Oda building up to that moment that entire chapter.
Definitely shouldn't have been a big moment because he just took it away. Like, oh, the guy Pell survived. No problem.
No, I'm talking about when Vivi herself climbs up to the top and cuts the bomb herself. Also,
yeah, I don't know. It's just that's the B plot.
Yeah, but Oda kills it with the B plots.
Well, he's got a B plot, a C plot, a D plot, an E plot, maybe even an F plot. I think he's got too many plots now.
I mean, sure. I think.
But like half of those are wrapped up in this arc. They're done.
Basically, Momonosuke's moving the castle and actually moving it, I just think it should have been a bigger moment than, like, you might have forgotten it happened. Like, it should have been the thing of the chapter when he did it. That's my big thing. It's just happening in the middle of, like, a lot of other action things. And here's the thing, like, there's a lot of plots in Wano right now, but I will say Oda's done a really good job at managing those plots, and like that's something that he didn't do as well in Dressrosa, for example.
I feel like, and I'm going to say this for a positive thing, the reason why he didn't get it is because this punch that Luffy throws right here at the end, all the plots in Wano are shown in this chapter almost.
True. You know, that's like a lot of stuff is happening, yeah.
It's a culmination to the end. It's like this buildup of what has been happening over the last 2 or 3 years, or 20 years. All of it's coming to an end, and every part of the country, the battle, the war is being shown. This would have been a better chapter if the Kaido flashback wasn't here at all, and all that page time was devoted to Momo. I agree. Like I still don't care about the length, but if the chapter had been dedicated more to the culmination of the arc, I would have liked that. Yeah. Because he shows everybody. He shows the festival. He shows Momonosuke. He shows Kid. He shows the water being thrown by Jinbei and the ninja. It's all coming together, yes, but it doesn't take away, like, Momo's big scene is 2 pages in this, and that's a bit of a bummer. But what I do also like about Luffy's big punch, first of all, I think this punch is like a good finisher, if it is the finisher, because it's the biggest punch Luffy's ever thrown. I like how it's drawn. I love what happened. Like, Kaido gets Looney Tunes through the ground, which is a fun reference to when we first meet Kaido, which is a Kaido-shaped hole. Yeah.
Like he jumps to the Sky Island and lands in a Kaido-shaped hole, and he ends in a Kaido-shaped hole in the end as well. And we get to see the end of his little conversation with King, so that's cool. I will say that a lot of people were confused on what happened when Kaido got punched in the hole. And like I always say, no mangaka can draw underground scenes. Looking at you, Araki.
Yeah.
It's too hard for them. But I was able to tell what was going on.
I mean, like, it's... Like, if you think about it, there should be dirt between the camera and whatever we're seeing right now. And we should not be seeing any other part of Kaido because there's dirt in between all of that. So, like...
Yeah, like that's... Because it's like an
it?
X-ray cut. And, like, how do you show that to the... And then I saw some people being like, doesn't Kaido land next to Luffy at the end of the chapter? It's like, no, guys, that's Momonosuke. Come on now.
I mean, there is one artist who draws pretty underground good stuff.
Who?
You know what's kind of fucked? Is that...
Murata.
Well, he's also the greatest of all time, so that's not fair.
You know what's kind of
Glad
fucked
we can
is
agree
that
on something.
the people of Wano...
We'll never know this happened. I love that, if that's how it turns out.
No, that's not what it is. Is that, like, the people of Wano were ruled by a dragon, and then they're going to get ruled by another dragon.
Yeah, but this one's smiling and friendly.
This one's a good dragon.
Joe, just because
I don't know.
we were ruled by a bad president doesn't mean that every president's gonna suck. That's just a coincidence that they all suck. You know?
I mean, maybe, but, like, I can also just see him being terrified of a big fucking dragon again that's now pink. Like, I don't know, man.
I feel also like for that dragon to become their leader, it would have been cool if they got to see Momo's big quote unquote moment.
Yeah, I really wish we got the holding up the entire of Onigashima
Dude,
over the Cloud Capital.
Let's talk shop. Do you want to hear the name of the next chapter, 1050?
I think I saw it.
It's called Glory.
Yeah.
Luffy beat a one of the big four, you know?
Or it's the glory and death kind of thing going on, you know? I think because of these things we're mentioning, like the Shore Kaido flashback, Momo's big moment was actually pretty brief. I know, like, this always comes up, but, like, Kaido getting up is not completely unreasonable, and if he got up, it would add some stuff to the story. It would have some
He's gonna get up, and Luffy punched him so hard, he surrenders.
He punched him so hard, he got amnesia, and then he went to go find some Oshiroku in the prison.
Did they get the red
guys.
block here in Wano?
No, they haven't found it yet. That's the other thing, is they don't know where the other poneglyph is.
Yo, are we getting swerved? I kind of want to read the spoilers. I just need to know if we got swerved or not. I know it was trending before the spoilers even came out, so, like, I think this is going to be a chapter that's spoiled. I don't know. What do y'all put your bets in? What's happening next chapter for our final chat here?
I think Kaido is down for one chapter at least. Like, you get a reprieve chapter, and he comes back after that.
And then what?
I don't fucking know. He does the Pyro Warriors 4 thing. He's like, all right, I'm done here, and he flies off into the sunset.
Kaido has left the arena, the battlefield. Tyler, what do you got?
Well,
Kaido and Luffy gonna be friends.
Yeah.
He's gonna get up. They're gonna resolve their differences. I think Kaido will get up and Luffy will be down still, but Kaido is also kind of still down.
Yeah, a little reminiscent of maybe the Katakuri fight. Here's what I mean, you guys know what I.
Ooh, wait. Kaido and Big Mom are both in the ground.
Here's what I want. Let me finish. Kaido and Big Mom both come out from under the ground riding each other. Like, Big Mom's riding Kaido like she rides Zeus.
They ride off into the sunset.
No, they kill people. They go ham.
No, they go corned beef. They ride off into the sunset.
They go corned beef. Well, that is corny, isn't it? Jeez, I didn't think today would get so heated. I'm so upset.
Oh,
You should see
I'm
this over here.
completely indifferent.
All right.
I do think if like this is the end of the arc, that's kind of crazy, all things considered, as like a weekly reader.
Yeah. your
Considering
first-
that I started the arc like when it was coming out, and then I'm gonna see it finished.
Yeah, this
without,
would be
like,
the first
missing it.
arc you finish, which is really cool.
Yeah,
when
I
did-
missed a single week reading it week to week.
What was the arc before this?
Revelry and Whole Cake.
Yeah,
You watched
Was
the
I
anime
watching-
for the Whole Cake, but not the Revelry. Wait.
I did watch Reverie anime, and I started watching Wano anime. So that means when Wano started, I started watching One Piece.
No.
Yeah.
No, because you started before Joe, and Joe caught up at the end of Whole Cake. I think, right, Joe?
That's where I caught up, was that Whole Cake.
yeah. I caught up at the end of Reverie, like that. Like
Like that was the last
the
chapter to
arc
come
I-
out. But because you started
me?
so much before, like Tyler read One Piece for like 6 months before Joe, so that's not how the timeline.
Nuh-uh, Joe. I started reading after Joe.
No, dude.
yeah, for sure.
Not first. You started reading like Tyler started reading while we had just graduated college.
Nope, not at all.
He was
Yeah.
watching.
You
He
sorry.
watched it.
Sorry.
watched-
Sorry. You were watching. Sorry, you started watching 6 months before Joe, at least, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Wano hadn't started yet. Anyways, thanks for joining us for a very friendly chat about One Piece. Join us next break week as we find out what the hell's gonna happen with Kaido. Will there be more flashbacks? Will Momonosuke do a cool thing? Let's find out.
We're gonna see Odin Monosuke soon.
That has a chance to be the big Momo moment where he shows up as Odin.
Yeah,
And you know what?
I
That
thought it'd
would
be
make that
cool
would make up
because
for it, right?
Boiling Pot.
What's that?
Like, if like because I thought it'd been really cool to reflect back on his dad, where like
Yeah.
Onigashima's going to come crashing down, and then he's like, I can only like do this by being in my hybrid or in my like human form, and he holds the city with the clouds above the capital city.
Right, and that's
deal.
like
It
not how it
reflects-
turned. So like we have to capitalize on Momo looking like Odin at some point, right? So like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? The complaints about Momo, maybe that'll also come later. So again, weekly One Piece, Oda has swerved us like 7 times this arc where we're like, Oda, this sucks, and then 2 chapters later we're like, nah, that was fine. So
At this point, know what he doing.
so yeah, I'll just we'll see it when we're done. But when we start the next arc, we'll know for sure what worked and what didn't. But
Yeah, next part for,
overall,
like, 10 chapters.
good batch of chapters. Even if some stuff moved a little quick, I think.
Now, does Act 3 actually end in the next few chapters? That's the real question.
Yes, but there is no Act 4 and 5, and we were all lied to. If imagine Act 3 ends, and there is an Act 4 and 5. Just think about the insanity that like how Oda
But those
would've-
acts could also only be like 3 or 4 chapters long, potentially.
No, yeah, Act 5 is supposed to be short if it's following that like structure. But Act 4 would
Yeah.
at least be like 15 to 20 chapters at the minimum if it's following
I think
the
Act
Japanese play
4
structure.
will be like the epilogue where we see all of the different things that like how Wano's affected, and then Act
mean-
5 is how that affects the entire global world.
Let's not forget that the Marines are here, so Act 4 could be about
Yeah.
fighting Marines and like them coming and annexing Wano or something. Yeah, you know, there's still
Also,
a lot.
the CP0.
The the final CP0 guy left. There is still some stuff to do in Wano. I could see that. Yeah, we're not quite at the end yet. TBA.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
Even if
we gotta
Kaido's
get to our
down.
second to last bounties of the series.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be fucking hype.
I don't think the Marines are gonna be here to interrupt the crew, because it's been X-Drake, CP0, and Sword mostly, not like hardcore big Marine army.
But Tyler, we saw world government ships right outside of Wano. They're ready to
Yeah.
come in. Like as
Yeah.
soon as this wraps up, they're just gonna show up. I think
I think something's gonna happen that won't let them in.
Zunisha could happen.
Zonation?
Yeah.
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 That'd be cool.
And
I'd be cool with that.
I think we're gonna get a party.
Always.
Don't forget that when Jinbei joined, Luffy's like, let's postpone this and have our drink with Jinbei after we win. That's another thing. Everyone's been so sure they would win. Like, there's even that chapter where, is it Hyozo? The old man is like, I can't possibly see us losing. And he was right. So, like,
Yeah.
I wonder what the point of, like, how easy
Luffy's
this was.
dead, and Law has to sacrifice himself. That's what also could come up.
How savage would this arc have been if Oda had killed off Jinbei right after he
I would have been
I
so
thought that was
upset.
what was going to happen.
I would have
Or
been so upset.
what if Jinbei sacrifices his life for Luffy with like another blood transfusion type of thing?
That'd be cool.
That'd be kind of
the
fun.
blood transfusion scene's one of the best scenes in the series. So,
Yeah.
all right, that's enough, folks. Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
Mm.